Today I'm going to walk you through how to perform maintenance on your clutch. It's a good idea to do this every 30 days, about a month or so. Also, if you start getting any symptoms of the bike where it wants to start to take off on you when it's just sitting at idle, what will happen, you can sometimes hear a squalling noise, a little loud noise, and the bike will want to lunge forward. What's happening is it's basically this bike has a centrifugal clutch on it, which allows you to be able to drive without having to shift gears. So this is going to be freewheeling while it's at idle, and when it makes that noise, basically the clutch is starting to lock up and try to move on you. So we're going to perform a quick maintenance procedure. To do that, we have to take the chain guard off to access the clutch because the clutch is back and behind you. So we begin by taking this screw out of the front. There is a bolt and nut in the back here that you don't want to fall off. It stays inside of the cover. And to take the chain tensioner off with a 12mm wrench, 13mm in the back side. When you take this off, you really want to pay special attention to the order of all the components because there's several pieces in here. You want to get them all back in the same order. First, you got the bolt that runs through the adjuster, and back behind next comes the bushing. Then you have the tensioner wheel itself. There are a couple of bearings in there on each side, so you just want to make sure they don't pop out. And then the nut. So pretty simple. It's easiest if you just lay those back down in the order they came off, so that you don't forget. 12mm wrench. There's just two bolts that hold on the cover to the engine. One more on the bottom. You got to flex the cover out of there, set it to the side. So now we're down to the clutch. And once we remove the tensioner from it, it gives you a little bit of play to be able to get this chain off. It's typically easiest to remove the chain from the back and from the front. And just let that sit. Okay, we're going to use a 5mm Allen wrench to remove this bolt. I tend to stick a flathead screwdriver, just something to catch the back of the clutch, to keep it from turning on you. It's important to make sure you keep that washer and put it back on. The clutch will just slip right off. So what we're really doing is we're trying to get some lubrication between the shaft of this and the clutch where it rides. That's where you get the squalling noise, and as it tries to grab too much, it spins the clutch inside and makes the bike take off. Alright, it's easiest if you perform this operation with a pair of snap ring pliers. You're going to be doing this monthly, so it's a good investment. We're going to be pulling this keeper off of here. Just keep your thumb placed so it doesn't go flying. Grabbing the two holes on that snap ring and lift it out of here. So this is the ring that we're removing. And then the clutch just slides apart. So it's this mating surfaces, the female and male side, where you actually get that squalling noise or where you need lubrication. There's also a little flat washer in here. You barely see it. Little thin washer. it's a good idea to go ahead and get some lubrication on both sides of this as well. So what we use is typically just any sort of high temperature grease for wheel bearings or disc brakes or drums. As long as it's a good heavy high temperature bearing type grease, it'll work fine. Just take a little dab of that and run it all the way around the shaft. You want to get it pretty good on the back surface where this washer rides as well. You can even just get a little bit on both sides of that. Put the washer back in place. Put a little bit on the female side. Pretty simple. You want to try to keep the grease out of this area here, because this is where the actual clutch rides on when it engages, so you don't want that slipping. That needs to lock up. So keep this area in here clean. You just want the grease inside of where the mating surface between the shaft are. Replace this. And we're going to put our snap ring back in place. It's best just to start again with your thumb holding it in place. You want to make sure you check to see that it's popped in. You heard it snap there. Once it's in place, you'll be able to tell. You can kind of grab that and it'll spin within the little area it's supposed to be in that little chamfer. You'll also want to go ahead and blow compressed shop air into these holes to clean out where the discs ride. This one's a new clutch, so it's not going to be dirty. If this was normal maintenance, you'd want to wear some safety glasses, because that is going to blow some debris at you. When we put this back on, as you can see inside, there is a key that has to line up with the keyway on the shaft. There you go. Go ahead and replace the bolt. Put the washer in place. Lock that in there so it won't spin on you while you tighten it the rest of the way. Okay. The chain. Put the chain guard back on. Just have to flex this in place. Start by putting the tensioner back in place. Again, the fat side of the tensioner goes to the opposite side. The skinny side is towards the chain. Making sure your two bearings are in place and your bushing. Got to make sure that you get the chain underneath the tensioner at the same time. Place the nut on the back. It's a locking nut. Again, your 12mm socket, 13mm wrench. We're just going to run this down lightly for now until we get the rest of the chain guard in place, just so it's holding itself. Move back up, putting the bolts in. Always a good idea to put all your bolts in at the same time before you tighten them down. Okay. Otherwise it'll get in a bind. You just run those down by hand. This is the last one, so we can go ahead and tighten this one first. And we'll move back up to the other two on the engine. These are just snug, since it's just a plastic cover, you don't want to over tighten it. Then we're going to adjust the chain back to proper tension. We have other videos just on chain tension. The idea though is that you want to be able to grab a part of that chain and it just move a ½ inch, quarter to ½ inch or so. You don't want to be too loose. As you tighten it, it'll get a little tighter, so it'll start to flex that tensioner up. It feels about right, so I'm going to go ahead and run that down the rest of the way. And this last nut here really just tries to keep it all in place so it doesn't back out on its own. This is a 10 millimeter. You don't want to over tighten that or it'll start to pull this back. Just want to run it down by hand and use a 10 millimeter socket and put just a little bit of tension on there to help it out. Okay. Check the tension's good on there. That's exactly how we clean and lubricate the clutch. Again, every 30 days is a good idea, or if you start to hear any noise.